Hello, 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 hello. This is Willie Cartwright from Save to Sane, checking in with you guys today. Glad to have you today. Glad to be here. I just want to make sure that we're on. If you're on, send me a message in the comment section. Say hello, say hi. Hopefully, you guys are out there listening, and I look forward to your participation and questions and comments today, so we can make this a really, really good show today. So again, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are, even good morning, because we are worldwide thanks to the internet. Again, this is Willie Cartwright with Saved from Save to Sane. Glad to have you guys with us today. As I said before, if you're on, say hello, send me a comment, let me know that you're out there um, today. So, as I always start off with, let me begin by saying a much great appreciation to a couple of people. Always start off by saying thank you to Taisha Essick, who got me going in this direction, got me on this podcast thing, and I thank her for everything that she's done and what she will do in the future. As you guys know, Taisha recently had a child, so she is tending to her child with her special someone. They are in the middle of a recent, well, they just had a recent birth, so she's taking care of that. She's also doing some things in relationship to giving birth on her page, on her channel, Taisha Essex. So please follow her. Please support her there as well. And I would also like to say thank you to my wonderful, lovely wife, Salima, who is the backbone of what I'm doing, who is my number one fan, who is the biggest supporter of what I do. And I certainly appreciate it. And I would not be able to do what I'm doing without those two people supporting me. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for that. Um, this will be the last show this year. I am taking a break from everything for a few weeks. That includes the podcast, this podcast. That also includes, I'm almost done with school. Those of you who know, I am spent my first semester in school graduate program, my second master's degree I'm working on. This one is in religious studies, so it's relatable. It is related to what we're doing here. And so we just completed our first semester, or my first semester. Grades are due out soon. I think I've seen a couple of grades, and so if that's the case, then I did well. So just waiting to see the third grade for the third class, and I think we'll see all the grades maybe as early as tomorrow. So we're done with that. I have another outside assignment outside of my classes that I was working on. I had to complete today, and should get feedback on that tomorrow, but officially we will be done with that tomorrow. The business that my wife and I run, we will take our annual 2 3 week uh, hiatus from that business, even though it's online, so people still can place orders or whatever. But we won't be actively working if we can all avoid that, unless there's an emergency. So I'll give myself a 2 or 3 week break from everything, sort of recharge and come back strong in the new year. With that being said, we wanted to end this year on a positive note. I think all of our shows have been positive, but again, let me start by saying thank you to all of you who have joined us every week, and then every other week supported us, subscribed to our channel, told friends about us and everything. So we definitely appreciate that. And so today, I wanted to be podcast appropriate, and I wanted to talk about Christmas. Yeah, I said, God, Jesus is Santa Claus for adults, and so that's what I wanted to talk about today. Again, want to make sure that those of you who are out there who have joined us, please give us a comment. let us know that you're on. Definitely appreciate that if you're there. Send us some questions or comments so we can go with that. Um, so we will proceed, like as I said before. This is probably going to be one of the shorter programs, the shorter shows, and we do need some shorter shows. Most of our shows have been running about an hour, hour plus, so we probably need some in the area of 20, 30 minutes. And so this may end up being one of those. If longer, then that's fine. But if shorter, then that's fine as well. So yeah. So why do I say Santa Claus is Jesus? God is Santa Claus for adults. And I added an other nonsense. And the other nonsense from my opinion, is related to this season, this holiday season, this Christmas season, the season that Christians are supposed to be celebrating the birth of their Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Um, so much like Santa Claus, when we were kids, when all of us, most of us were kids, and those of us who did celebrate Christmas, and our parents told us, first exposed us to Santa Claus. They told us that this the picture of a white gentleman with a long white beard. Who is out there in the universe watching all the things we do, good and bad. And at the end of the year, being Christmas, he would reward us by bringing us gifts or toys if we were good. um, and this is for all of the kids across the world. So this had to be some kind of supernatural, uh, supernatural being to be able to give gifts in every house all across the world. And so, as kids, not knowing any better, not knowing any differently, and trusting our parents and other adults that told us this story about this individual Santa Claus, we all believed it until we either became old enough to use logic and reason and realize that this was not true, or until our parents told us. I think at some point, I think my mother finally told us that, she was the one that worked hard all year long, saved the money, and bought the gifts and hid them. Um, Funny, my sister and I used to find our toys when we were really young. We were finding toys before Christmas, but we never told our mom that. So I was really young when I stopped believing in Santa, if at all. Also, the first 10 or 11 years of my life, I lived in the projects and we did not have a chimney. So having a fat white man come down our chimney was a non-starter for us. So from a rationale standpoint, we understood that this Santa Claus character did not exist because there were absolutely no evidence, no empirical evidence, no proof outside of these stories and what we may have seen in books that said that this individual Santa Claus existed. And so I like to parallel that with this God and Jesus character that we celebrate around specifically for this holiday, Jesus. Outside of the book, the Bible, there is little to no empirical, corroborated, non biblical evidence that this character, this deity, God, Jesus, exists. Um, but like children, we as adults, or a lot of the adult population, still believe that this person is sitting on high. This white man, at least that's the images that we see, that we have seen, that historically represents the image of God. And I know those of you out there who are, pro-black or believe that your God and that your Jesus is a man of color, and you celebrate him as such, that is fine. Still doesn't change the fact that the lack of evidence. So whether he is a white man with a beard or a black man with a beard, it is still a fictional character that is not supported by the evidence, the empirical, historical, archaeological evidence. But again, like kids, like young children, we a lot of us adults still believe in the fairy tale. um, And so we believe that if we do right and we act accordingly and we do the things that is said that we should do, uh, by from this deity sitting on high, that we will be rewarded, much like kids at Christmas. We will be rewarded gifts, the gift of everlasting life, the gift of spending our eternity after death, spending eternity with this being as we worship Him every single day. Um, my background, the churches that I attended, it would be we were told that not only would we be worshiping Him, but we would be around along streets paved in gold. We would be living in mansions, and we would be drinking, milk and honey. Which doesn't sound really that doesn't sound that well. I don't even drink milk, but those are the things that we were told. So in a parallel universe, you have young people, kids who are not able enough to discern reality from fiction. Um, we have young kids who believe in Santa Claus, and then in a parallel, along those lines, we have adults who believe in this God Jesus character, again with no empirical evidence, no corroborating archaeological evidence, but yet we still believe in this. Hey, Henry M. Henry is a Henry M. Glad to have you. We're good here, man. Glad to have you join us. Let us any comments that you may have. We're talking about God and Jesus. Is Santa Claus for adults? This is the Christmas season, so we're going to end. This is our last show for the year, so we're going to end this with talking about what we're talking about, something that is relatable and appropriate, holiday appropriate. Um, so again, as a child, we believe in Santa Claus. As adults, we believe in this Jesus figure. Many of us, many of those out there who believe in this God, Jesus figure, and especially when it comes around the holidays, particularly this holiday being Christmas, don't really know the history of Christmas and how we got Christmas, and that Christmas is largely pagan, which would be non-Christian, pagan holidays, and the everything surrounding it is pagan, non-Christian. It was adopted by the Romans, really in the fourth century, as a way to celebrate the so-called birth of Jesus Christ. So there has always been, or at least there were celebrations around this time of year, December 25th, prior to the so-called birth of Jesus, and prior to uh, prior to the Romans establishing Christmas as the birthday for this Jesus. Um, for those historians that believe that this Jesus existed, and there are quite a few. They believe that this Jesus would have had to be born in April or May, or either somewhere in the springtime, right? Um, but we do, for whatever reason, and as I said, the reasons we do celebrate his birth around December 25th, because it was already a celebration period. Pagans were celebrating it. The winter's solstice. It was being, I probably messed that word up. I always have a problem with that word, but was also being celebrated. There were a host of festivals in different societies and different cultures that also celebrated, had events during this time period as well. And so it made sense for the Romans in the fourth century to say that this would be also the celebration of the birth of Jesus, because people were already in a festive mood, everything was already in place, and so it made more sense. Henry say, do you remember Megan Kelly from Fox News arguing in 2013 that Jesus was a historical character and he was white? If not, then you can find that on YouTube. It was hilarious. Yeah, I actually I do. I remember her, and if I remember, she was really angry that this was like not a historical fact that everybody was like, yeah, yeah, you're right. It really upset her that everybody didn't agree that Jesus was a historical character and that he was white. So, but but if you really look at that, if you really look at that, think about that. That is someone who is taking a belief system, taking a character that, from my belief and my research and my understanding, may or may not be a historical. May or may not be a historical person. But we also have to understand this: if Jesus, if a man that resembles the characteristics and not the supernatural stuff. The carpenter born in the Middle East, said some wonderful things, had some followers. If that individual did exist, um, that is still not the same individual, that performed miracles. That was the Son of God. That was a deity himself. I mean, that's a whole different burden of proof, if you're trying to prove that. If you tell me, if historians and people tell me that, okay, listen, there's possibly was a guy that lived during that period of time that was sort of a Pied Piper of people, and brought people together and did some amazing things and made some wonderful speeches and made people feel good, and professed the greatness of a God, then that's fine. But if you also tell me that this individual, there was a person that lived back then that walked on water and turned water into wine and healed the sick and raised the dead, and was crucified and, got off the cross and ascended into heaven, and that he too was a God, then that's a whole nother level of burden of proof. Well, there is absolutely zero evidence of that. So that's where we are on that. Also, the fact that, let's say that this individual, or a individual resembling this Jesus character existed. We all know, and this is beating the dead horse, but there is no way that this individual was a white person, a European white person. Given the time period and where everything took place in the world, there's no way that this was a European white person. So yeah, so absolutely, I remember that, and I thought it was funny. It was sad and funny at the same time. But again, we talk about why is it that I think a couple of weeks ago, we did a podcast and I talked about how, especially us as African Americans, how we get so emotional, more emotional about the birth and death of this Jesus character, more so than we do about our own ancestors and what they went through, and their the atrocities that happened to them, that we can directly track when there is empirical, undeniable, undebatable evidence that these horrible and horrific things happen to people that we are genetically linked to and biologically related to. More so than anything that this Jesus character went through. We're talking about generations of people that look like us, that we descended from, that suffered for years and decades and centuries, the atrocities, the amount of agony and pain that these people went through. But we are more emotionally attached to this Jesus figure, who, if he was a god, he really didn't go through anything, right? So yeah, so that's one of the things I oftentimes I think about, and we talked about that a few weeks ago. But yeah, so Christmas for a lot of people, um, they get emotional. They think about the birth of their so-called Savior and Lord, and if why would a God, and if you believe in the Trinity, why would a God need a birthday? Why would a God have to be born? And so that's a whole nother thing. We talk about the birth of this so-called God, and him being born through a human being, and a God, a so-called virgin. It's just really wild. When you the thing that I say, and the thing that I wrestle with a lot is, after leaving the faith, is, looking back on it and thinking about some of the just nonsensical, and absolutely bizarre stories and beliefs in this faith. But I also try to remember that a lot of this stuff at some time and at some point, while I was a Christian, I did believe at least some of this. So I'm kind of I'm torn because now looking at it, I say, how can any rational person who can think logically believe this stuff? But then I think about the indoctrination that is done to people who are Christian or any religion for that matter, but specifically Christian because I was Christian. um, the amount of indoctrination that's done that started at an early age, and we begin the first thing we study the Bible, and we celebrate Christmas, and it's not just us, but it's our family, it's relatives, it's the neighborhood, it's community, it's the church, it's the school, it's everywhere. um, so yeah, it is, and so I remember that it's ingrained in us, and then on top of that, there's a fear element that won't allow us to think about anything else or to question what we believe and what we don't believe. There's a fear element that's imposed upon us that keeps us from pulling away from this faith. And so now we're approaching the holiday season, Christmas, and everybody's happy and jubilant, and we're buying gifts, and we're going to church, and we're making, at the end of the year, we'll be making new promises for next year and all that kind of stuff, all centered around the belief in this Santa Claus for adults. Texas God is what's going on? How you doing? Glad to have you here. Give us some comments or questions that you may have. Um, so we're talking about God, Jesus is Santa Claus for adults, and other nonsensical things or other things that don't make sense related to this holiday season that is supposed to be about the birth of Jesus Christ, a God who has to be born, right? So yeah, so that's what we're talking about today. So I just wanted to end this year on this note because this will be my last podcast for the year. Taking a break for a few weeks, a break from everything. But yeah, but I thought that this was highly appropriate to talk about the holiday season. Like many of you, I celebrated Christmas growing up as a kid. It was it was the biggest holiday. Not only was it the biggest Christian holiday, but it was the biggest non-Christian holiday because it was commercialized so much. You bought gifts and things, and everybody, people were off from work and off from school, and we celebrated. You got together with family, which the getting together as a family for most people. Um, I think is really a good thing because that's one of the few times of the year that people try to come together. It also can be stressful. There's a lot of stress in people getting together and families getting together. If you're married, when I first got married, my wife and I we would be torn as to which side of the family to go see for the holidays. My mother passed away 5 or 6 years ago, but prior to that, it was okay. Thanksgiving, do we do one family, and then Christmas we do the other family, that kind of stuff. But yeah, there are also there's also issues now, especially nowadays, when you have a large portion of the younger generation that may or may not celebrate Christmas or don't believe or they're not believers. But they come together with family around the holidays, and it's really about, for the older members of the family, is really about this so-called Savior, Jesus Christ. And so their young people are there like, okay, we got to go through this. How long do we have to deal with this? So that's a whole nother level of stress that people maybe enduring now. So let's see. Texas God has said, after this Christmas, I will decorate with winter decor and not Christmas decor. Oh, you know what? I've never decorated as an adult. Even when I was a believer, I never decorated. My mom, she would pull out this, and you guys may have experienced it as well. My mom had this Christmas box. So it was this huge box that used to have, I don't know, toys in it or something. But it was where we stored the fake Christmas tree every year, and we put it up in the basement, but all of the lights and the bulbs and all that kind of stuff was part of it. And so she would drag this thing out every year around this time so we could decorate it, put the Christmas tree up and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, so it was one of those things. But as an adult, I never celebrate. I never put up like I don't have any decorations up. I've never had decorations up. It's funny. I was teasing with my sister and my niece on social media, Facebook, and my sister was lamenting about how she was tired and didn't want to put up Christmas. I mean, Christmas tree, and she hadn't started yet, and she might might not do it. I was saying to her, I was like, yeah, I feel you. And my niece, who is 24, I love her to death. She just had a baby. That is my heart, my sweetheart. She hit me on social media. She said, "Have you ever celebrated Christmas or put up decorations?" I said, "Never, never, ever have I put up decorations." So I'm not. I've never been that type of person. I don't. I think it's a lot of work for nothing. It's. I do like seeing people do it. The lights. I appreciate when other people do it. It's just not something that I want to do, but I definitely appreciate when people do it. I like seeing the lights. It's festive. You can be for me, I can be festive, and I think the holidays for the most part, outside of shopping, I think the holidays generally put people in a pretty decent mood. Um, and so I do like the festiveness of it. I like the lights. I like the fact that people try to be nicer around the holidays, but for the most part. Yeah, so I'm not, so I can get into the mood and be festive. As a matter of fact, I got a holiday party to attend tomorrow night, and I attended one last week. And it's going to be great. And so you can be festive and not be religious. I don't get into the whole Christ party. People know me know that that's not my thing, but definitely will attend a holiday party and have a great time. Uh, a Texas guy that said, "My favorite holiday is Thanksgiving because we don't have to give gifts. Gift shopping is exhausting, but it's probably still get a holiday gift for a close family and friends." Yeah, that's another element of the whole stress thing. My wife and I decided a long, long time ago, years ago, when we first got married, that we would not do gifts for each other. We don't do gifts. Part of that, well, even at that point, we were still Christians. We just decided that if you want something, go out and buy it. If I want something, go out and buy it. She wants to go out and buy it. And so what I did, I established early on with my family that I was not going to buy gifts for people, especially adults. Now, everybody in my family they're adults. My niece and nephew, they're all grown. My nephew is 31, my niece is 24, so they're grown. Our god kids are all grown. I think the first couple of years that my wife and I were married, we tried to get gifts for um, a lot of the kids, but she has a cousin that has 5 kids, and, there's another cousin with a couple of kids, and then there's another cousin now that has a child, and then, my niece and nephew, and then we had 7 godkids between the 2 of us and all that, and I was like, "No, I'm not going broke. I'm not being exhausted and going broke and going crazy because, people want gifts or whatever." So I let it be known early on, that I was not gonna be the person buying gifts for people. First couple of years was a shock, family members like, "Oh, really? Really so cheap, da, da, da." But after that, they pretty much know it is what it is, and so I don't have to. I haven't had to deal with that in many years, many years. So I'm good with that. But I do understand it, Texas guys. It is a lot to this whole gift shopping thing. Um, I don't go to malls, that kind of stuff. My wife buys stuff online. We get Amazon. Seem like we get an Amazon package every day. Uh, from that standpoint. But all of this is, but again, think about this. All of this that we're talking about, all of the unnecessary stress, all of the commercialization, all of the buying, all of this is supposedly be because we're celebrating the birth of a particular god or deity, right? This is where all of this supposedly stems from. Even though we as a country, as a society, we've completely flipped it. But at the end of the day, if you guys attend church around Christmas, and I think this year Christmas is actually on a Sunday. I think because Christmas Eve is, and the only reason why I know this is because I'm a football fan and my team plays on Christmas Eve, which is that Saturday. So that's how I keep up with where Christmas is. I know that sounds horrible, but so yeah, so I think Christmas is on a Sunday. So you will definitely hear in your church actually next Sunday because that's Christmas, right? You would definitely hear that Christmas is not for buying gifts. Christmas is not for this or that. Christmas is to celebrate the birth of your Savior and Lord Jesus Christ, your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So you will definitely hear a lot of that from pastors and preachers, and that's fine. That's what they're supposed to do. Um, but again, I hope that we this year that we've brought this platform to you guys, and so that this could be a safe space, and we can talk about these type issues, and we can get the word out to other people that there is a space for specifically, but not just for, but specifically for African Americans who got questions about their faith, about their religion, who can ask the questions, who can make the comments, who can get the information, and we can take that information back to the community so that the community can see that we're not aliens, that we're not demonic, that we're not bad people because we choose that we made the choice not to believe the way that you believe. Um, and so I'm glad, hopefully, that we have been able to do that. We will continue to do this. I have no plans on stopping. So we will continue to do this, and I appreciate this. I see Texas got us a couple more comments. I have a lot of little cousins, so I go to the dollar. There you go, there you go. You get 15 trinkets and draw names as to who gets to pick from the stash first. Perfect. I love that. You don't spend a whole lot of money, and everybody gets something. Everybody happy with it. Awesome. Also, Texas God has said, "I never celebrated Christmas as a religious holiday as Christ's birthday." Yeah, we did. You come up in the South, Christmas. Our parents and people around the church made sure to let us know that yeah, you got gifts, but this is really not about you getting gifts. It's about we give gifts because supposedly because the three wise men gave gifts to to Jesus at his birth. All of this is just like one big Harry Potter story, right? But yeah, so we were reminded yearly that this is about the birth of Jesus. Christmas was about the birth of Jesus. So yeah, but yeah, I appreciate. Yeah, I hear you though. So yeah, so again, as we get ready to close this out, again, I want to say thank you to all of you who've joined me this year and who've commented and who've just been here, who's asked questions and who's received information, who's also shared information with us. And I hope that you continue to tell your friends. Thank you all for subscribing. Continue to support me. Continue to support Taisha and other people. There are a lot of people out there, people, guys. There are a lot of us out there that are in this space. Uh, that have podcasts that talk about religion and spirituality and the direction that we what we consider going in, just being open and more inclusive of all beliefs or no beliefs at all. There are more and more and more of us coming along because we're willing to ask the questions. We're willing to put ourselves out there for the betterment of the community. And I really do think that this is for the betterment of the community. I was fortunate enough yesterday. Was it yesterday or Wednesday? What's the day? Thursday? Yeah. So it was yesterday. I was fortunate enough to be invited on a podcast from a lady in an organization out of Canada. They do work with religious trauma as a religious trauma organization. And so we talked about my book. Again, my book, From Saved to Sane. Pick yourself up a copy for Christmas and give to somebody, give to a Christian that may have questions. This be the perfect stocking stuffer, From Saved to Sane, my journey away from Christianity. But we talked about the book. But more importantly, we talked about why this space is important. Um, Especially for us, so African Americans. And she was not African American, but she understood. And it's funny. She found out about me. She's all the way in Canada, and someone got a copy of my book, read it, and sent it to her, and told her that it was imperative that she interview me. And so she called me up. She actually had me slated to be part of a conference that she was organizing. The conference fell through. But she decided to have all of the guests come on this podcast guests at some point. And so my time was yesterday. Again, we talked about the book, we talked about religious trauma. And so that made me think and reminded me of why we're doing this. This is not just so that we can, take shots at, and hopefully we're not taking shots at Christian or Christianity. What we're doing is providing a space for those of us who are coming out of Christianity or considering coming out of whatever religion that we're a part of or who may have questions, but also to help us through, a lot of us through, because it is traumatic. For a lot of us, Christianity or religion has been a large part of our life. For some of us, it's been the most important part of our life. And so to leave, there's a lot of trauma that's attached to that for a lot of people. There's being ostracized by family and friends. There's relationship breakup. There's potential loss of job. jobs or opportunities because you are vocal about your disbelief or your non-belief or your secularism or whatever. And so this is a space that you can come on and voice those opinions and ask those questions and hopefully get those answers. And so yesterday just reminded me of why we're doing this and why we will continue to do this because it is important. There are a lot of people out there that are suffering because of this, whether they're suffering in silence and are still part of the faith, but really want to get out, but are afraid of what the repercussions may be, or for those who have left the faith and are experiencing the repercussions of leaving the faith. That's why we're doing this. That's why we do this. So Henry said, "We thank you. I appreciate you too, Henry. Absolutely. Please keep doing what you're doing. It is important for the Black community. It is growing now. Absolutely, and that's another thing. It is growing. It is growing. We will be back next year, and hopefully, well, not hopefully, we will have more guests. So you guys get tired of just hearing me and seeing me. We'll probably get Taisha back at some point, but there are some other people that I want to invite onto the show. We'd love to have some of you in the audience. We'd love to have some of you on the show and to voice your comments and questions, and we can talk about this. But it's about getting it out, getting the word out, getting more people to subscribe so they can get this information. So it's great. Texas God has said, Willie, will you be willing to address finding community after leaving Christianity? Oh, that is awesome. I'm writing that down right now. Texas Goddess, let's see. Finding community. Absolutely. That might be one of the first shows we do next year. Finding community after leaving Christianity. It can be lonely when you are going to church and fellowship ping 3 times a week. Yeah, yeah, you're right. It is. Let me talk about it just a quick second. I was fortunate. It's funny because prior to um, prior to leaving the faith, I knew very few non-believers. I knew very few. I knew a couple of guys. Then once I left and started doing the research and started kind of putting myself out there, it kind of happened. I didn't seek out those people, but as a matter of fact, I'm going out to lunch Saturday with a couple who we've been friends for a long time. And the guy I've been knowing him for a long time, and I did not know. I didn't know at the time when I first met him that he was a non-believer. I was still a believer. That's how far back. So I've been knowing him for a while. But we're going out Saturday. Um, there are other couples that we hang out with that are non-believers, or I know individuals, I know people now, and then I've met some people who are doing similar work, that I'm doing. They're doing podcasts, they're doing conventions, and they're speakers, and so the community. There are people out there, but I think we just have to put ourselves out there and look. There are organizations that you can join, become part of. But we'll talk about all that. We'll do a whole show on finding community once you leave Christianity, because I think especially for us, that is one of the biggest hindrance to us leaving the church and leaving religion because of the social element. Because what you believe and don't believe, that's sort of private, that's sort of personal. You can attend a church for many years and still not be a believer. And people do that. People actually are not believers. And I did it for a while. There was a time that I was still attending church and I was not a believer. But there are people who are not believers, but they attend church and for the fellowship, for the community, for the social aspect of it. If they have kids, a lot of their kids' friends are members of the church, so they stay involved. They stay linked into the church. So yeah, so that is an important part of. That is probably the first question that I get when I have a serious dialogue with someone about why we as a community should think about other alternatives outside of the church. As far as beliefs or looking inward or whatever. One of the first questions I get as a pushback is, well, what about the social aspect of it? What about the community aspect of it? And so that is something that we will address. That would probably be one of our early shows next year. We'll talk about community and what we can. I'll do some research and see what we can find. What organizations are out there. And here's the thing too, we need for African Americans, we don't need just organizations that are atheists or agnostic or humanists. Uh, we need organizations that are those things, but are specific for us. And here's the reason why. Uh, what I found, and I'm not surprised, but just because someone is humanist or a non-believer or agnostic or atheist or skeptical, uh, doesn't make them not racist. And so, it's like any other community, like any other organization, like any other group of people, you have all types. You have some in the non-belief community that are welcoming and opening and inviting. When I'm talking about people who are non-black, and then you have some who are just as racist as anybody you'll find in a religious group, right? So yeah, so we need to and I not only did I found this out, but I also talked to people who was doing this before I was doing it, and that was one of the major issues that they had. Was that when they went to these organizations, because there was so few of us that was open about our non-belief, they had to gravitate to organizations that were majority white or majority non-black, and that was one of the things, one of the problems that they found. And so some of these people have started their own organization, and so we'll talk about those organizations and talk about how we maneuver, how we move through this thing as non-believers, um, and how we can build our own community. And so I think that'd be something I really would be interested in, and being a part of building a much larger community that is national and international, so that it's just not what we have online. But if I'm in another city or another state, I can reach out and physically touch and feel and have communion, physical communion with people who are like minded, who I don't have to hear say, "Oh yeah, I see you, God willing," or preface everything with God and Jesus. It'd be refreshing to be around people that's not that's not what I hear. But so often that's the case, especially being down here in the South. So yeah, so absolutely. But we're gonna end this. I definitely appreciate all of you. Thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for continuing to grow with us. Look for us the first Thursday. I gotta check my school's schedule, but I think the first Thursday in January we should be good. Look for that. So what's that? The second, third, fourth, the fifth, or something like that. Um, of January, we'll come back. We'll come back stronger, better, some similar content, and we'll continue to grow and get the word out. But thank you all so much. Continue to support our friends, Taisha. Continue to support other people that are in this space. Thank you guys so much for a wonderful year. And also send me some suggestions as to topics that you would like to hear. Texas guys, I think that is a great topic, building community. Guys, send me other topics that you would like for us to address and talk about, and we will we'll absolutely tackle those issues. Enjoy this holiday season, how you enjoy it, whether it's with family and friends or by yourself, or if you're still a believer or you're not a believer, but you still celebrate the holidays for whatever reason. By all means, enjoy it. Have a good, safe time, and we will see you guys in the new year. I love you guys and thank you so much.